In this video, we're going to be reading the poem 74th Street by Myra Cohn Livingston, and we're going to be learning how can we summarize a poem. Now, summarizing a poem is a lot like summarizing a book or an essay or another piece of text. You want to, you know, look at the different pieces of it and create a summary based on the different pieces. Now, when we're looking at, say, a chapter book, usually you'd summarize each chapter, and then you could create a bigger summary about the whole book. So, when we're looking at poems, it's really important to look at each stanza of a poem, and then after you summarize each stanza of a poem, you can, summarize the whole poem. So as we talked about in the previous video, a stanza is kind of like a paragraph. So a stanza really is separated by spaces and it's a chunk of writing. And so we're going to take this poem stanza by stanza, summarize each stanza, and then we're going to come up with a summary of the whole poem. And so you have already read this poem in the lesson, and what we're going to do is we're just going to read each stanza and summarize it as we go through. 74th Street by Myra Cohn Livingston. Hey, this little kid gets roller skates. She puts them on. She stands up and almost flops over backwards. She sticks out a foot like she's going somewhere and falls down and smacks her hand. She grabs hold of a step to get up and sticks out the other foot and slides about 6 inches and falls and skins her knee. So this poem is pretty easy to summarize. It doesn't use a lot of figurative language or um, anything else that is tricky with some poems. So I want to go ahead and just summarize my first stanza. And remember, a summary is you're just kind of putting into your own words what is the main idea of a text or a piece of text. And so if I were to put this into my own words, I would say that this first stanza is about a little girl because she uses the word she, a little girl who gets roller skates and she keeps falling every time she tries to stand up and move. So I'm just going to type that as my summary. A girl, and I'm going to say a little girl because it says a little kid, a little girl gets roller skates. She is trying to move and use her roller skates. Every time that she tries, she falls down. So I've just created a simple summary that tells you the main idea of this long piece of text. A little girl gets roller skates. She is trying to move and use her roller skates. Every time that she tries, she falls down. So that's a summary for that first part. Then I have, and then you know what? That part of my poem really isn't too important. It, it really is just talking, it's kind of a transition phrase to move into my next stanza. So this would be my third stanza, because I have my first stanza here. I have the second stanza that's only one line. Then I have my third stanza and my fourth stanza. So let's read the third stanza. She brushes off the dirt and the blood and puts some spit on it and then sticks out the other foot. So if I were to summarize this part of the poem, I would say that she gets back up, brushes off her skinned knee, puts some spit on it, and she tries again. So I would say the little girl brushes, I'm going to use a different word. I'm going to say the little girl fixes her knee and tries to skate again. So And then if I look at my fourth, it just says again. So I have summarized the two different parts of my poem, the main parts. There's a little girl who gets skates and she's trying to move and use her roller skates. Every time she tries, she falls down. The little girl fixes her knees and tries to skate again. So if I were to come up with an overall summary, so something that I would use for an overall summary, I'm going to go ahead and type it in this box right here. If I would do an overall summary, I'm going to combine the two different stanzas from this poem. And I would say a little girl gets skates, and fix my spelling, and tries to skate for the first time. She keeps falling and gets hurt. Even though she is hurt, she keeps trying. So as you can see, I've created a summary for the whole poem. It's just kind of talking about what's the main idea of the poem. This little girl skates and tries to skate for the first time. She keeps falling and gets hurt. Even though she is hurt, she keeps trying. And that's how easy it is to summarize a poem. You take it stanza by stanza, chunk it out, kind of like a book. You go chapter by chapter. So you're going to go stanza by stanza, kind of create a little summary for each stanza, and then create a one big summary for the whole poem.